Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video I'll be giving you 12 extremely useful tips on how to become a better FPS player. So since you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you are one of three types of people. 1. You haven't played an FPS game competitively or even played one at all. 2. You tried an FPS game, but you got completely destroyed by other players. 3. You want to become better at supporting your team or friends when playing FPS games. If you are any of these, then you're in luck. You're speaking to someone who has been in all of those positions at the same time. I was always bottom leaderboard, I was always getting shouted at by my friends, and I just couldn't get the better of the players. I just couldn't do it. However, after 9 years of playing FPS games competitively, I managed to pick myself up and along the way pick up a few tricks and pieces of advice which I am very willing to pass on to other players, including you. I thought I'd do this since I would love to share what I've learnt with other players who are just entering the very fun but stressful genre. But anyway, without wasting any more time, let me give you my 12 pieces of advice. So alongside getting a feel for the game you're playing, first what you're going to do is find your play style. By this I mean see what kind of a player you are. See, what you're going to want to do is you want to find out, like, are you someone that wants to go into the front lines and get close and get your hands dirty? Are you someone who wants to hang back with heavier weaponry to pick off stragglers, or are you even someone that wants to be stealthy and use lesser used lanes in maps in order to flank and neutralize enemies? You might even find yourself with a balance of all of these, or develop your own unique style. This is something that will come with time. You will get gut feelings about what feels wrong and what feels right. If you're not sure what to choose or what kind of playstyle to go with, then just try them all and choose the area that you believe you're performing the best at. Once you find this area, stick to it and develop it. Become better, become a master at it. Just stick with it and put time into that area, and I promise you will see results. So next, what you're going to want to do is experiment with different weapons. This can link in with the last point too, since the weapon you choose as your main weapon can help you pick a playstyle. But once you've experimented with weapons and found one that you like, stick with it, keep using it and become an absolute beast with it. If you get bored of using that weapon, then try other weapons and use those. But honestly, just give everything a try. Even if it's a weapon you would never think to use, just try it out. Even if it's just a grenade launcher, try it, because if it works for you and it suits you, you will improve. You'll find that you'll get more kills, you won't die as much, and again you'll develop a playstyle, which is really one of the foundations for becoming better in an FPS game. If you want to vary your expertise in weaponry, then use suitable weapons for certain maps. For example, if you're in a small map, use shotguns or SMGs. If you're on a much larger map with more open areas, take an AR, sniper or LMG. Honestly, I am not joking, the sky is the limit. Just experiment, find a weapon, stick with it, or vary and adapt. In first-person shooters, death is inevitable. You're going to die all the time, especially when you're just starting out. This might seem obvious, but I am telling you this because I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. Back when I started playing FPS games, I would honestly take them too seriously, and I would just, I would curse at the top of my lungs at the game. I mean, I think people do this all the time anyway, but at the end of the day, you are playing a game, but the lighter you take your deaths, the more fun you will have. Trust me when I tell you this, guys, honestly. When you have fun with a game, and especially in FPS, you are destined to improve. You're going to become better. Every time you die, I want you to say this to yourself. I want you to say, it's okay, I'll get to him next time. Because don't forget, depending on what game mode you're playing, you are going to respawn. You'll have another chance. Even if you're getting destroyed, you're still going to keep respawning. Sure, your numbers might look bad on the leaderboard, but you're learning. You will learn. You'll take it in and you'll eventually improve. Just have fun with it and take in everything you are seeing, you know? Learn more about the game. The more you die, the more determined you'll become to stop dying. You'll look for ways to stop dying, and again, you'll develop a play style. Sounds obvious, but I promise you, it is easy to lose yourself in this. So honestly, accept that you're going to die. Just accept it. It's going to happen. I die all the time still. You'll see it in this video. I die all the time. But I'm still having fun with the game I'm playing. I still didn't do too bad in the footage, I think. It's been a while since I recorded it, but still, please take this into account. At first glance, you may look at this and think, that's a paradox. But in all honesty, this is something you want to keep very close to heart and mind. Every single match you play is going to teach you how to become a better player in some way. When you lose a match, that is the best kind of lesson to be taught. You see, when you lose, you reflect on what happened in order for a loss to occur. So for this example, I'm going to use domination. This is basically a game type where you'll have 3 areas named A, B and C, or sometimes you can have more. And your team has to hold down and capture all of these points in order to win a game. So say you're playing this match of domination, and you have an enemy team, and they hold down 1 or 2 of the points and prevent you from being able to actually get to the points. They have their friends and teammates stationed in certain areas, and you just can't do anything. You can't get past them. They shoot you as soon as you reach them. You lose the match. But at the end, you'll start to reflect. You'll reflect on what happened. So basically, you'll create these counter methods in order to win the game in future. So when that happens again, you'll know how to respond to the moment or the problem at hand. Over time, as you rack up losses, you'll find that the losses start to disappear. You don't lose as much anymore, and you'll start to win. That's because your mind is subconsciously using these methods that are stored in your head, and you are implementing them in these matches. So you're beating better players. You're coming above. Basically, this is something else that comes with time. But just accept that losses are wins. Don't take them as a loss. Reflect on what happened for you to lose, and then use what you reflected on as a weapon in future. Just imagine that you're in a firefight with maybe 1 or maybe even 3 people, and they're all shooting at you at once. Most of the time you're going to die in this situation, but let's say you've managed to react and you got behind a wall or some kind of cover in order to save yourself. At this moment, you want to be making a counter plan. Chances are there's people shooting at you are coming towards you, so normally you would just wait, but what you need to practice doing is reacting in situations like this. Try and get used to knowing exactly what you need to do. If you're wondering how you can practice moments like this, just embrace the moments. Embrace them when you're stuck. Take in the thoughts that are going through your head and work on making the right decisions and actions in counter-attacking opponents. So when you can't see your enemies coming, try and picture what they're doing in your mind. Try and predict their movements. If you know that there's a corridor behind you, turn to that corridor. Chances are they might be coming behind you once you turned your back, but what if they're thinking to flank? They most likely are thinking, we're going to flank, so predict that movement. Learn to counter, and I promise, this is another thing that will make you better. You'll start to find that you're killing people on a more regular basis, and you are dying less. So at first you might read this and think, isn't that a horrible thing to do? But something that will really help you out is if you put yourself in horrible areas. If you put yourself in a terrible situation Or if you go to a place where you know there are large groups of enemies, then you're going to learn how to act in those situations. You will learn how to deal with these people. If you keep doing it, you'll develop multiple useful skills, and these can include learning how to flank, learning how to deal with large groups of enemies, and you'll definitely increase your survival skills. Of course, you don't always want to do this, but if you're wanting to specifically work on your killing skills, then definitely try putting yourself in stressful situations. You'll learn how to handle yourself more independently, and you will find yourself turning into a badass after every single game. Every game will keep teaching you, especially if you put yourself in these situations. For example, in Fortnite, I don't know if you ever played that game, but Fortnite Battle Royale, it's not exactly an FPS, but it is still a shooter. It's a good idea if you're trying to get better at killing people in that game to throw yourself into the areas where everyone is. Because when you find a weapon and you start fighting these people, you start to learn how to deal with these horrible situations. You know how to conduct yourself. That's what this whole thing is. It's a learning experience. Now honestly, I'm guilty of this and still do it, so I'm not really an example, but I'm telling you now, save yourself before it is too late. I'm not that bad when it comes to glaring at the minimap, but when it comes to the leaderboard, my lord am I bad. You'll see me do it through the game footage playing in the background. Glancing at the leaderboard is okay, but it's like an addiction for me. I can't help myself. It's like after every 3 kills, I have to look at the leaderboard, and every time it just kills me. Or not every time, but most of the time it gets me killed. I'm telling you, try to do either as little as possible. Glancing at the minimap is more acceptable though, since it helps you kind of locate your enemy, but the same thing applies here. Don't stare at it. The more you look at the leaderboard or minimap, the more distracted you're going to be. It's an awful habit to get into, and it's even harder to get out of. It distracts you and gets you killed. I'm telling you right now, stay away from it and only glance. Camping is one of the more looked down upon things in shooters. Effectively, camping is where you'll sit in a corner, window or other vantage point for a long period of time and just wait for players to come by. When players come by, you'll just shoot them and that's it. In all honesty, camping is a pretty scummy thing to do, but it can be useful in some situations. As long as you don't spend your entire time in one spot for an entire game, you'll be okay. Camping is a good way to develop your aim and can help get your team in the lead, especially if you're just a short amount of kills or points behind. Really though, camping should only be used as a last resort, and I'd honestly say avoid using the camping method as much as possible. Try and limit the amount of kills you get in a spot. So what I'm saying is, say for example you were camping, and you were camping in a window. Only kill about 3 to 4 people and then move, because most players will attempt to hunt you down once they have your location. Once they're aware of you camping, they will come and hunt you down. So what I would suggest is that you kill maybe 3 to 4 people and then start moving around. Not only that, if you do this, you'll share your experience into different playstyles by doing a little camping and running and gunning. So you'll be more effective in various scenarios. Plus you'll be a better player at the end of it anyway. You won't seem as scummy, and you'll feel better about yourself. I am telling you right now, this very second, flank players as much as possible. Seriously, I'm not kidding. If you're in a firefight and you're able to flank, then I just do it. If you're aware of an enemy group of people, then flank them. Once you've started in a game and you've learned the beginning spawns and maps, flank. Seriously, flanking is the answer to most FPS games. It catches your opponents off guard and usually renders them useless. Normally, flanking will definitely give you wins that you and your team deserve. Predicting the locations of enemy players sounds like a difficult task, but in reality it isn't. This can be done using the minimap. On your screen there should be a picture of a minimap. If you look at the minimap, you'll probably be able to see green triangles which represent your teammates, and a large blank space. Now usually when enemies fire, then a red dot will appear on the map to show where they are, where the shots were last fired. But normally if enemies don't shoot, then they're posted in the blank sections of the map. Using your minimap to predict the locations of enemies is very useful. It can help you set up ambushes, flanks, or other types of attacks. If you keep using the minimap to predict enemies, then it should help you maintain a steady flow of kills, and of course give you more frequent and faster wins. This is probably one of the most effective tips on this list. If you have a friend or relative who's very good at FPS games, then I'm telling you, play against them. When I struggled with FPS games, I would just get into private lobbies with a bunch of friends and just spar with them. Even though I sucked, and I got my ass kicked nearly every time, I was able to still pick up some good techniques. Technique! With all jokes aside, these techniques and strategies really helped me to improve in the long run. Of course, alongside getting better by playing better players, you'll have more fun sparring with people you know. What I mean by this is, by the side of improving, you'll have a blast at the same time. I swear, playing against friends truly helps, and it is so fun. I would recommend doing it from day one. From the day you get a game, find a friend who's doing the same as you and just play against them. They may even give you some advice or tips and give you a further learning experience. Possibly the most fundamental tip I've given you here is this one I'm about to give you: practice. A lot of the tips I've mentioned are built on top of practice, and honestly it's the key. If you play FPS games for at least an hour or two a day, you will see results. You'll find yourself around the top of the leaderboard more, and you'll find yourself having more fun. Getting better at any game, not just FPS, is like a real life skill. The more you play games or practice the skill, you'll master your playstyle and ultimately become more of a badass. I'm telling you, if you just keep practicing, keep playing the FPS game you're playing, you will definitely see results. I'm not joking. I've been playing games for 9 years, or playing FPS games mainly for 9 years, right? And I'm still improving. I mean, I haven't played them every day. Sometimes I take breaks, and when I do, I kind of dip a bit, which is another thing. Like, if you take extended breaks from FPS games, you will start to see it like a dip in performance. You won't do as well as you originally did when you practiced for ages. But all I'm saying is, if you keep playing and you keep putting the effort in, you will see your leaderboard numbers hitting like 40 and 5. I'm not joking. You will get to that stage. Just keep at it, keep practicing, and you'll eventually get there. But anyway guys, that's it for this list. I hope that this list has helped you and that you found my advice acceptable. Please leave a comment at the bottom telling me what you think, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so very much for watching.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you